I arrived on the Vineyard when I was 23 years old, and I said to my then boyfriend, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna die here." And then I started laughing and I said, "I've never even thought about dying. Why would I think I'm gonna die here?" But I knew that I had come home.
When we finally were retiring, the one thing we realized is we could not leave the Vineyard. And we were just very, very, very happy here. And then he left. Boom.
Well, my affiliation with hospice really started before I ever even heard of hospice. I was 10 years old and my grandmother died. Even as a 10-year-old, I thought, wow, everybody dies. Don't people know how to handle it?
Talking about end-of-life care is probably the most important conversation that we're not having. 75% of people want to die at home in the United States and only 25% of people do. And it's because they're not having the conversation.
I don't think we could have done it without hospice. I don't know how we would have given my mom the care she needed without hospice. And I don't know how we would have handled it as a family.
It's not about, okay, you joined hospice and so now you're dying. No, it's the opposite. We're gonna get hospice support and care so we can really live out whatever amount of time we have.
I watched my mother die, I watched my grandmother die, but we didn't use hospice. Now that I've been on the board for 4 years, looking back, I wish we had.
People hear the word hospice and they shy away from it. And it's important to have those conversations and to see what care is available there.
So hospice is a medical specialty that really is for folks with a serious terminal illness that are facing the last phase of their life. So that might be 6 months, that might be a year. And they're thinking about shifting focus from treatment and cure to something that's more around quality of life. But truthfully, hospice isn't about dying, it's about living. And it's about living your best possible life.
Our services include pain and symptom management, emotional and spiritual support, caregiver education, and bereavement counseling.
When folks are presented with a serious illness, they have choice. And it's really important for them to understand what those choices are.
Palliative care is excellent. People think of it as treating symptoms, and they do all of that. You know, palliative care can help with those difficult to manage symptoms, but more importantly, they help the patient choose their best quality of life.
I think we all just felt like we were being just held in a way by hospice that was just so much more comforting.
My husband, he was the kind of guy who would say almost every day, you know, he got up at 5 o'clock in the morning and would go, "We're burning daylight." And he had another phrase that he always said, this is long before he was sick, which was, "Life is precious, don't waste a drop." And I remember we were coming home after one of his treatments and we were on the boat and he just turned to me and he said, "I hope this goes the way we hope, but if it doesn't, I know you'll set up hospice for us." And I remember just kind of crying on the boat a little bit, and I go, yes, I will.
People don't call us soon enough. They wait till the last minute, and they're in a panic because their loved one needs help, and their loved one is dying. And we could be there so much earlier. We're not only there for the patient, we're there for the families. And the families need us.
My husband died in the middle of the night. I never used hospice. And yet they told me I was entitled to grief counseling? I remember thinking, who does that? Well, Hospice and Palliative Care of Martha's Vineyard does that. Well, I had a wonderful counselor when I realized I could do this grief counseling. And I found when I was in a group that, that was not for me. People in my group that they assigned me to had very complicated grief. And as soon as the counselor said to me, "Your way is the way," I was like, oh, then I'm not going to compare myself to anybody else because my way is the way. And I didn't need a lot more than that to hear.
One of the things I find when I start talking to people about hospice care, they're shocked when they find out that their care is covered at 100%. And they say, why didn't someone tell us that? Why didn't we know that? You know, it's like the best benefit that nobody knows about.
Once we finally did call hospice, I saw this light in my mom, like it just like shifted. Like she felt like she was heard in a different way.
I think one of the most common myths about hospice is that it's for the final days of life. And so people often wait too long to call hospice.
For Rob and me, that turned out to be 6 months. So we had 6 full months with hospice. Rob was actually making his own arrangements. And how powerful to be in that position. I want that for everybody to have that choice and chance.
Up until 2022, we were one of only 2 hospices in the entire country that had a fully paid staff that was funded only through philanthropic efforts and grants. That wouldn't happen in every community. The majority of the palliative care that we provide, as well as our bereavement services, are not funded through insurance. And so the rest of that funding comes from the generosity of donors, our community, and grant funding.
We have one of the best hospices in the entire United States. I know the gold that we have here. I remember clearly one day I was walking on Lucy Vincent Beach and I was like, yeah, I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing whatever I can to help this hospice here so other people here on this island can have the experience that I had with Rob.
You're not alone. And truthfully, you always think it's too soon until it's too late. And picking up the phone and calling us just to have a conversation is the best thing you can do.